Okay. Marc Spears of ESPN has been a dear, dear friend of this show, whether it's just radio and TV, back to TV, radio. It doesn't matter what this show is. Right. Spearsy has been there for us, and he joins us now. Spears, what's going on, man? We've been doing this for like 5 years. We've been talking to you for longer, but we've been on TV for 5 years. Are you surprised we've made it that long?
I'm surprised you guys haven't, crossed over the border and got your show down here, man. I'm trying to make y'all. I want y'all to be a worldwide phenomenon,
man.
Worldwide
but I can't.
Tim and Sid. Forget Worldwide Wes.
That's right.
I can't run. I can't have like Mina Kimes' schedule. Global. Like you know me. Like I'm lazy. I can't. Do you think we'd make it in the States?
I want them to know your name in Bangladesh.
How do you know they don't know our names?
Yeah, that's it.
How do you know?
They don't. They don't.
Probably right. By the way, that Marc Spears, for those who weren't following his Twitter account earlier today, was tweeting during the Manchester United game against Brighton Hove Albion, a team whose name I can't ever pronounce. And that Mason Greenwood kid is pretty good. Seriously, pretty good.
Oh my goodness, he did a crossover dribble with a soccer ball, man. It looked like he was dancing salsa, and that teenager is going to be special. I just wish he played for Arsenal.
Well, then he wouldn't be any good. Well, that's not the right tone to set.
You owe me one. You owe me.
Yeah,
you guys owe me one.
True. It's true.
He does, simply for the thing that may or may not show up in the 5-year anniversary video.
It'll show up.
Whereas Spearsy's talking about Six Arrows grade 8 picture.
I'm glad we're on the phone right
now. I was watching a little ESPN this morning, and there seemed to be some worry now that baseball and basketball might not be able to pull this off with the spikes in coronavirus in Florida, specifically as it pertains to the NBA. From what you're hearing, is there a chance that this doesn't even get off the ground?
Oh, I mean, I think there's always a chance, but I think it does because they got their own environment. That's the difference between baseball and football. The fact that they can for the most part, control their environment is a huge deal. Like you can't just show up. You have to be invited there. You have to wear a mask. Like I've read all the rules, man, and it's like you got to eat meals in your room. You have to get tested every day. If you're not in your room, you have to wear a mask. It's like it's not like these memes. It's not for discussion. You have to wear a mask wherever you go. So the rules in this bubble, I think, to me, it has a possibility of being the safest place on earth, or at least in the United States, not the earth, but because it's a controlled environment, whereas baseball and football is kind of like the honor system. Like I don't know what these dudes are doing in their free time, and then they're going to be traveling up and down, each coast of the country, playing each other. You just don't know what they're doing. At least in the NBA standpoint, the environment they're in. They can't leave. They can't go anywhere. Even when like the media that's coming in, you have to quarantine for a week before you go in. When the Raptors, assume they do make it to the second round, anybody from the players' families that are coming, girlfriends, whomever, they actually got to quarantine for a week before they allow them to come in. And then they're going to have to get tested on a daily basis. So to me, the MLS, go San Jose Earthquakes, and the NBA have the best environment. If this isn't going to work, nothing's going to work. To me, I think, and Dr. Fauci repeated this, the NBA probably has the best environment there is. So if that doesn't work, I feel bad for the other sports. Football, I just don't see it,
I don't know how football's going to pull it off. Especially I mean, actually, college especially, but I'm still just as shocked. The NFL, the closer we get to these specific dates, like training camp starting and whatnot, they don't look as organized as I thought.
NFL has, man.
Yikes.
The ego the NFL has is amazing. Like they just think it's just going to all come together. baseball, at least baseball is the only basically socially distant sport. So you're just more worried about what these guys are doing outside the stadium than actually in the stadium. I'm surprised in the Korean league like that. At least those, like, I've been wearing, have you guys tried those like construction masks? They're like sleeves.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Like the hardcover ones, kind of?
Kind of like it's long. It's like it covers your neck. Yeah. Where you could pull it up and pull it down. Like baseball players always use their gloves to cover their face.
Yeah.
Like to me, like they should all be wearing those when they're playing baseball. You know, I think those would be great. I think those would be great for football too. I asked an NBA player why basketball players can't use it, and they told me somebody from the Kings tried it. They were just too sweaty. They could have had a hard time breathing. But I think in sports like baseball and football, where you know you're not running up and down constantly, you could probably wear those sleeves, and perhaps those can be something that certainly can help prevent COVID.
They call them snood in soccer, right?
And they're not feel as awkward as a mask. I'm sorry.
You got me, Tim. Yeah. I'm trying to visualize it, and I'm not getting it.
You don't know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they call it a snood in soccer, and they've been wearing it for a while. Nike makes like I think Buffon wore one 6-0 when it was cold out there. SNOOD.
Let me just take a quick look at this here.
And I think that's what we're talking about here.
It's like a huge it's like a ninja.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of look like
goes over your neck, and usually it's when it's cold weather.
Yeah, and I'm seeing those Nike ones now.
Like you see construction folks wear them all the time. And the first one I got was from a friend of mine who has a construction company out here. And I've kind of fallen in love with those ones. Those are they're really, really comfortable. It's like just wearing a turtleneck. You know,
like it's 1995 all over again.
But I think, like, or you know, but I think they're kind of like called dust masks. I don't know. Maybe one of the fans there can tell you what the name of them. But I think for sports, they could be a great thing to use that doesn't feel as awkward as look as awkward as, say, a typical mask, which shouldn't matter, but I think in the sports world it's better to use this.
Marc Spears, the undefeated here on Tim and Sid. Go ahead, Timmy. Do you want to jump in? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, have you heard about any head coaches not showing up? It seems like that this might become more prevalent, that the head coaches who are of advanced age might not feel as comfortable as the players.
I've seen Alvin Gentry say he's probably coming, but he hasn't said he's definitely coming. I think he does. But, I mean, if they got to look crazy, if they think it's looking crazy and wear not only just the mask, but the shield, they should wear it. I actually saw a guy jogging the other day with a mask and a shield on. And I'm sure he probably didn't get any cool points for it, but I understand, you know. So I do think another tough thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is just not being around your family members for that long.
Yeah.
You know, Fred VanVleet talked about it yesterday. Like you're basically not going to see your family for at least 7 weeks after you've been spending all this time with them. So especially when you have young kids, that could be very, very tough. And so I could actually see, assuming everything goes well, a story about a month and a half from now is about the emotion that takes place when everybody gets reunited with their loved ones. But that being said, I don't think the coaches and everybody else on the staff or even the media could have somebody come later. I think it's just the players that will be allowed to do that. So, you know, for the Raptors coaching staff, everybody's coaching staff, like, I think it's going to be tough, especially if you're there for the long haul.
What will J.R. Smith be like in isolation?
Trying to dig a hole under the hotel, sneak onto the outside.
Turns into Shawshank Redemption.
I'm sure there's going to be some interesting story there. I'm waiting for it, man. Like somebody's going to somebody's going to test the limits of the place.
But let's go through the rule one time here for everyone. If someone does leave Orlando for whatever reason, either through hilarious circumstances or through more serious circumstances, when you come back, you got to self-isolate for 10 days and pass 2 COVID tests. That is in the 113 pages for the NBA. So we do know what would happen if someone came back, but I'm just curious how long JR will hold out.
JR's trying to keep his career alive, so it's always interesting to see how dudes act toward the end. So I actually expect him to be a model citizen, especially when he's coming under LeBron's recommendation.
But if he's got a poster up on his wall, watch out. The theme the theme of the greatest civil rights movement of our generation has been
any of his property.
Don't. Yeah. You know what? With all due respect to that story, don't touch a man's car. Just don't do it. I don't care who you are. I was on JR's
side. You notice he didn't go to jail over that.
Why would you, man? Don't touch a man's car. Don't touch a woman's car. Don't touch anyone's car. Get your damn hands off.
He got a pass, and I bet you that guy hasn't messed with anybody else's car since.
No. Right. I want to get this before we let you go. We have to let you go because we might run out of time here. But the theme of the greatest civil rights movement of our generation has been talked about a lot, and we've heard ideas about Black Lives Matter being printed on the floor. That's a good start. But I was raised in part by KRS-One, who once told me, Mark, that real bad boys move in silence. It was reiterated again by Biggie and by others. How many things are in the works for real change that might not get the shine of, say, like a Get Up or a First Take because it's not polarizing or it's not as shiny as other things, but might actually lead to real change?
Well, I think in terms of the NBA, you're talking about NBA standpoint?
Yeah.
Or I think Chris Paul and the rest of the players have a lot of things that they'd like to keep quiet, but it keeps getting leaked out. But, even what they're putting on the back of the jerseys, which Chris is talking to me about, or what's going to be Black Lives Matter, there's going to be a ton of things. If you guys saw the BET Awards up there the other day, I mean, it was basically a 3-hour Black Lives Matter social injustice forum. And I think that's going to be the thing with the NBA through the entire season, no matter if you're watching a game or seeing somebody on the bench or hearing somebody do an interview after the game or on an off day, like it's constantly going to be mentioned. You're going to hear about it ad nauseum. If you ain't woke at the beginning of the season, you're going to be woke at the end of the season. I think there's just going to be constant messages, and it's the first time that I think the media is actually wanting to pay attention for the most part. That the consumer will be probably inundated with messages from hopefully Nike and such, who if you watch the BET Awards, like all the commercials had that kind of like social theme to it. I think that's going to happen in the NBA. NBA already came out with a PSA. I think there's going to be so many messages that even for the people with the coldest hearts, they're going to be forced to learn something before the season is over with. So I'm actually looking forward to the creativity, and I'm hearing some of the things that like different players are talking about putting on their jerseys. And Harrison Barnes said he wants something different on every jersey. But I think that by the end of the season, man, like you still got players outside that could do things, that could protest, that could give awareness, but the ability to have the whole world watching all these games. Like, to me, I don't think there is a bigger megaphone that they could use to give their message than that.
Spearsy, this was fun. It's great to talk to you. Really appreciate it. And in all seriousness, again, because tomorrow's a kind of a significant date for Tim and myself, we love you. We appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you, man.
Hey, man. Hey, congratulations, man. There's been a lot of shows that's been canceled, and y'all still here, Hoff. So, you go get a cold one, social distance, and celebrate that. Be proud of that, man. I ain't got no damn show.
We will because it's Canada Day.
You guys are my role models. I'm trying to be like you.
Stop it.
Happy Canada Day and 5-year anniversary with us.
Yeah, man. Love y'all. Thank you for having me on the show. And I look forward to celebrating your 25th anniversary.